Well, good morning and welcome back to Storytelling on the Plains. Normally, we don't mention dates or anything because we kind of want these stories to be evergreen so you can listen to them whenever you want and the information's still going to be correct. But today, as we are recording, it is June 11th, 2026, and there's a massive fire in northwest Nebraska. I'm thinking it's going to hit Fort Robinson. It's been the area's evacuated. Yeah, they've evacuated the nursing home up there, and the folks in Crawford, which is 3 miles down the road from Fort Rob, have suggested evacuations, and people have been told to be ready because mandatory ones are probably coming. I went to bed last night, and it said around 9,000 acres were on fire. I got up this morning, and the news article said this morning more than 23,000 acres. So Connor and I have just spent quite a bit of time talking about that before we started recording today. The grass will come back.
Yes.
You know, we're not sure about the trees. We're not sure about a lot of stuff right now. And the Highway 20 between Fort Robinson and Harrison, Nebraska, is closed. They're asking for donations. You can just look at any news website, and they've got the links for where you can, donate money and water and whatever else that they need there. It's pretty bad, and it's totally not. I mean,
yeah.
It's. I don't want to say not cool, but from the articles I've read, it started by lightning.
Yeah, it was a lightning strike, as far as I know too. Which that's not too uncommon. Mm-hmm. When the fire bans out here are pretty strictly enforced, and there isn't a lot of people that just set fires for fun, mm-hmm. especially when it gets this serious, and especially where it was located. Mm-hmm. Where it first started was out almost in the middle of nowhere. So
yeah, I've been up there, and I'm like, I've been in that spot where it started. It happens, and like you were telling me earlier, the prairie grass will come back. We just need to see how badly the trees are affected, and then do you keep the trees permanently thinned or not?
And fun fact: the trees that are burning down were mostly replants of Boy Scouts from the 90s, 94, 96
mm-hmm.
Smiley Fire.
Yeah.
So we'll get the other Boy Scouts back and we'll plant more trees, and that's just kind of how it goes.
Yeah. And ironically, I did one of the stories, I believe it was the last story, where they were finally done with their planting. They spent 25 years replanting trees. Yep. And I did the last story of I can't remember, I think they were just about to go out or they had just finished with their last bit. So it'll
start all over again.
Yep. So that is going on. That is on our minds, and we'll probably have an update next week when we do the podcast. There have been a lot of fires in Nebraska this year, and we are in drought conditions, and we live in a semi-arid region in the middle of the Great Plains. It happens. It's very sad. I would hope none of the buildings burn down, but
we're particularly worried about Crawford and Fort Robinson.
Yeah. So also last weekend, my friend Vicky Sakurada Shepler, she received, now I forgot the name of the award. It was basically the equivalent of our Medal of Honor from the Japanese government for her work saving the Japanese Hall. It was really neat to be out there because I ran into a bunch of people I haven't seen in several years. So that was very cool, but it was very cool that she got the award as well. I did shoot a little video because I told Vicky, I go, you need to come and sit down and talk to us. And she was like, oh, absolutely. So at some point in time, we'll have that sorted and we'll be able to do that. But
I think I've said this before, but her mother was my culinary teacher in high school.
Oh, really?
Nancy Sakurada?
Yeah. Oh, I am going to have to tell her that.
Oh, she knows me.
Does she?
Well. I ran into her at the co-op not too long ago. So if you do see her mention me, we talk about her all the time.
Okay.
I love Nancy.
And
she's a sweetheart. and she's a great teacher.
Sweet. And I know her sister, Vicky's sister, lives in Torrington and comes down almost every day to the Japanese hall.
Yeah.
They're still working on stuff in the basement because they want to redo the basement to look as it did then, but right now it's just full of a whole bunch of artifacts. I've been able to go down there and look at it, but I didn't take any pictures or anything because it's a work in progress, and that's perfectly fine. But it was really neat that she got recognized for her work. And while I was down there, I want to give a shout out today, even though we haven't done stories on the blizzard of 49 yet, or the Minotaur tornado, or
what else? Horrible things that happened.
Yeah, I had a list of things, and I was asking the archivist that's down there, and Caden, his last day was last week at Vicky's event. He's moving back home to Montana, and I got to meet the new guy. I think I've met the new guy, but there's another guy down there named Grant. That dude has been emailing me almost every single day information that I had on the list, because I had told Caden, I looked in the filing cabinets, which I have free access to, and I can't find anything. I got stuff on the Minotaur tornado, but can't find anything on any of this other stuff. And they're like, what are you talking about? We should have stuff on that. And I go, I know. So I'm going to go down there next week because Grant found several boxes on Hiram Scott College. So that's going to be well into 2026 because there's a lot of information on it and it'll take a while. But this gentleman has, in my opinion, gone above and beyond. I was just looking for some basic info, and he's like, oh, you have like 4 boxes, and then every day I'm getting an email. Oh, here's another picture I found on the blizzard. Here's another picture. Oh, here's some other information I found. Here's some other information. So it was very, very cool, and, I give huge props to Legacy because, that's what they do, and I get it that they're on their end, they're just like, yeah, that's what we're here for. That's what we do.
Well, they're passionate.
But
have some passion in their job. That's good.
But to me, it's totally awesome because it allowed me to get some writing done this week, and I didn't have to spend 15 hours at Legacy. And I'm sure it took Grant less time than 15 hours, but for me it would have taken that long because I'm not exactly sure where to find things. They're in the process of digitizing a lot of their photos, and Grant is the one that's helping with that. So when you ask about something, he knows exactly where it is, what it's called, all that good stuff. So big props to that. And then when I was talking to Dave Wolf is the director there. He told me, send along our website address and he'll help promote our place. And we were just having a conversation. I was like, dude, you're like an unofficial sponsor for us. And he goes, really? Why? And I go, I swear it's like every other episode I'm saying, hey, I went to Legacy and found this information.
Sure.
So he was like, he goes, email me the link. And he goes, we'll sort it out. And also, our website is storytellingontheplains.com. It's very easy to find. Connor and I had a conversation, I don't know, like a month or so ago, that we were going to let the website go because the place that was hosting it was charging me $200 a year for it.
Yeah,
and
which is too much.
It's ridiculous. So I contacted my very good friend in the Netherlands. I'm not going to mention his name because I don't know if he wants to be named or not, but he is hosting our site, and we only have to pay the $16 registration fee every year. And so I'm very grateful for that because storytellingontheplains.com is very easy to send people to.
Yes.
So they can find the episode. And I told him, I said, I don't even need a WordPress site, which is what we have now. I said a static page with links to where you can find the, you like Apple? Oh, there you go. Take you right to the Apple Podcast. Oh, you want to listen to it on Amazon? There you go. There's the link. Now, those links are on there, but I have been manually adding the episode every week, and that gets to be tedious. And he said there is a way that we can just automatically pull it in from the RSS feed.
Yeah.
So that will save
much
me
easier.
any kind of trouble. So we're working that out right now, but the website still is up. I'm not going to let it go. $16 a year is far more manageable than $200. And that place also wanted Paul's website and my website. They were charging $200 a year for that too, and
it adds up.
And it's
That's
just
how
too
they
much.
Get you. They get you
Yeah.
with the year subscriptions, and okay, you do the math in your head. It's like, oh, that's not so much a month, but
Yeah.
it does add up.
Yeah, and then I was supposedly having their deluxe hosting, and it was always 5 to 10 seconds for the website to load. I went there this morning, less than 2 seconds, and the website loaded. And I'm going, yeah, okay. All right. And so my friend did say to me, Irene, you were right. They are really scammy, and they're scamming you. So that's the news on storytelling on the plains. Today we're going to talk about something in the small town of Chappell, Nebraska. It's been called a little hidden gem. The town of Chappell only has 844 residents, but I think they can boast of having one of the coolest libraries and art galleries in western Nebraska. You don't normally see library and art gallery together, but they have it together, and it's just a neat little history about it. There isn't a lot of information about it. Remember, I told you I've been having trouble getting this episode written, and it goes back to I don't have a lot of information about it, and there isn't a lot of information out there, and what is out there is all the information that is known.
We don't talk about Chappell.
Yeah. So, but I thought it was a very cool story, and I sat down last Sunday and just said, you know what, the heck with it. If it's a shorter episode, it's a shorter episode. But the information needs to be out there because it's kind of neat. So if you pass through Chappell, you'll notice that the library seems like any other library. It's a standard red brick building. It's rectangle shaped. At least the front facade is rectangle shaped. I did not go and look at a map overview to see if it is rectangle or square, but it looks like a rectangle. Yeah. There are 3 recessed arches in the middle of the front of the library, with a set of windows on each end of the building. And the middle of the 3 recessed arches is the entrance, and then the other 2 have big planters. You can put big plants in there, or a statue or whatever. It's that kind of little recessed area. Sure. But there are 3 of them. So there are also a few bushes and trees out front. And thanks, Connor, because when I was looking at the picture I saw, the picture's a few years old, but I was looking at the bushes going, oh, is there any yellow on there? Does it need to be watered? So yeah, thanks for that.
That's not watered properly.
I'm just joking with you. I'm very glad for that, because if you hadn't told me that about the little bushes that you planted out front of my place last year, they would die.
It would have died, yes.
I just assumed the yellow was the color they are in the spring, and they would change during the year. And you're like, yeah, no, they kind of need some water. So I've been out watering them, hoping for the best, because we're in drought conditions.
Well, and for those who don't know, Chappell, Nebraska is kind of out in the middle of nowhere.
Yes.
It really is weird kind of where it's located. I don't know why it was put up there in the first place, like the town itself, because I don't know if maybe it was near a railroad, or maybe it is
We'll kind of get into that.
Definitely a weird town.
Yeah.
You go into it, it's like, why is this here?
Yeah. And when you come out here to western Nebraska, even towns that don't exist anymore, and you wonder why is this here, always go to railroad. Yeah.
It's usually always a railroad.
Yeah. And that's another thing that I would have to email the railroads and wait months and months and months and months for any more information about, how it got there, that kind of stuff. I do have a bit of information on it. But anyway, when you go in the library, you get to see some neat things that are hidden inside. So the library has all the standard things you expect from a library. There's hundreds of books to read for people of all ages. There are yoga classes and craft fairs, as well as events for kids and adults. And I was kind of bummed because they just recently, like as in a few weeks ago, had this awesome thing for kids, taking bits of craft things, paper, toilet paper rolls, paper towel rolls, that kind of stuff. And they made dinosaurs. And I'm going, if I still worked at the Star Herald, I would have found a way to go down to Chappell that day to do that story.
Made my dinosaur toilet paper thing.
Yeah, and I would have made one for sure. So they have all the typical things that you expect to see at a library. But what makes the Chappell Memorial Library and Art Gallery stand out is that in addition to being a library, it's also an art gallery. And there's art all over. So, you're looking at shelves for the book you want. You pull the book out and you look up and there's art hanging on the wall. That's pretty dang cool.
That's neat.
We don't have that here in Scotts Bluff. There might be a picture or two, but
there's some art, a lot of art outside. There's some sculptures that have been donated. As far as the inside, no, I don't really remember. Before it was remodeled, there might have been something in the middle. Okay. I don't remember. But if it was something like some birds.
Yeah.
It wasn't anything, wasn't anything spectacular.
And like here in Scotts Bluff, the library, when you enter that little foyer, usually has stuff that the kids have made. It's advertisement for this is what kids have made. Come to it, and then there's another little display case of here's some books we're reading in the adults book club.
And our library has always been geared towards the younger folk.
Oh,
I mean, always. Even when I was a kid, they had this wonderful program every summer, which I think they still do.
Yep, probably. They do. It just started a few weeks ago. Yep.
And it was great. I loved that.
Yep.
Had a great time. They used to that was when the movie theater, which is now Bacharach's Bar and Grill, was around, and you get like a free ticket to the movies.
Nice.
So if you read the books.
Yeah.
Because that was the whole thing.
Yeah.
It was like an accelerated learning thing that they did at school where each book was a point, I believe. That's how it worked.
Yeah, they still have, you read X number of books, you get this prize, X number this prize. And then at some point, I think it's like older kids don't have to read the 100 books over the summer because they're reading teen books that are a little more involved, but the little kids, if they can get to 100, they get other things. There's usually some big old celebration at the end of the year. It's very cool. And I know most libraries have something like that, and it's catered to their own town. And
it is.
It's very cool, especially, and I know we're getting a little off track, but we are talking about a library. I read probably 4 stories a week about how kids can't read anymore.
It's terrible,
and it's
isn't it?
alarming. And it was starting to happen before COVID. COVID didn't make it any better, so you can't blame it on COVID because the research goes back to like 2015, 2016.
Yeah.
When it really started dropping off, and COVID just kind of accelerated that. And it's really sad. I've seen videos of kids in high school that can't read a basic sentence that they should have been able to read by the time they were 12.
And it does break my heart because I know how much the education system when I was a kid tried so desperately hard to get me to read because I had dyslexia. Reading for me was a challenge. It really was. So I don't think I could even spell my own last name until I was in like 3rd grade.
Your last name was really, really hard.
It was hard, but it made you definitely feel bad when you couldn't even spell your own last name. And so, to see kids not be able to pronounce things, now that I'm an adult and I do like to read and I can read properly, at least most things. Most things I can. But it's terrible. But I also know kids can't read. A lot of them don't read face clocks anymore either.
Yeah.
That's
Actually,
another weird thing.
Paul came home from work yesterday and was complaining about that. He goes, do you know how many people can't read an analog clock? And I'm like, yeah, Paul, that's a lot. And he goes, yeah, but it's not just kids, it's adults, you know? And I go, yeah,
It is, because the generation's coming into adults now, because I had that at the college. And they're like, what time is it? I'm like, it's right behind you.
Yeah.
And I know they're embarrassed, so now I got a little more tactful about it, and I just tell them time, because a couple of them was like, I can't read it, and they're like really quiet, and they don't want to be made fun of, and I get it.
Yeah. And they spend like a day on how to read a clock.
It's not,
in school.
It's not hard to learn.
Yeah,
but
it's definitely not hard to learn, but when you have a cell phone and you just push the button and boom, right there, it's the digital time.
Well, and I guess the hard part, especially with some of these analog clocks, is they don't have the ticks between the numbers. So if you have to be somewhere by like 1247 or something like that for whatever ridiculous reason, and this is like, okay, 12, and you're like doing the ticks like 40, 45. Yep. I can maybe get that. So if those ticks aren't there, they're like, well, I don't know. Yeah. Because, someone who just has the 12, the 3, the 6, and the, the other one.
Did I hang that 11, too high?
10.
No? Okay. I was just, because the angle you were looking up at the clock, I'm like, oh man, did I hang that too high?
No, I can read. Okay. No, I was just trying to get the demonstration.
And when I bought that clock, the only thing I wanted was the silent second hand. With my PTSD, I don't know what it is, but hearing the ticks of the clock drive me bananas. Definitely. But I wanted the second hand. And there are many, many clocks out there. I didn't think I'd have a lot of choices, but I had many choices of silent clocks.
I love different ways to tell time, but we're getting ahead of ourselves.
Yeah. So, I just encourage everybody to read, and I can tell you...
tell time.
Yeah. I can tell you when my mom was in her car accident, I stopped reading because I just didn't have time and I couldn't focus. Every time I tried to read, that's what I was thinking about. And so I found this dude's YouTube channel. His name is Jared Henderson, and he's a philosopher. And he made a video, and he said, if you have 15 minutes, you can read 10 books a year, or 15 minutes a day. Yeah. And I said, I got 15 minutes a day I can read. And so that's what I started with. And I'm up to an hour now because it's what I like.
Bible trick that they taught us in church.
Okay.
You read like a verse a day, you get through it in a year. So many, I think it's like 2 or 3 verses a day. You get through it in a year, something like that.
Okay. And so when he broke it down like that, it wasn't overwhelming. I wasn't looking at a 3-foot stack of books to read and becoming overwhelmed. I was looking at, yes, I have 15 minutes I can read. So libraries are awesome, folks. Please don't ever let them close. So getting back to the Chappell Memorial Library and Art Gallery, see, we're going to end up having a long episode because we get so off track. But today on Storytelling on the Plains, we're going to look and see how the library came to be and how the art gallery came to be. So for that, we need to go all the way back to the founding of the town and learn about its namesake, Charles Henry Chappell. So Charles hailed from Illinois and was a railroad man. He was the superintendent of Union Pacific Railroad's 2nd Division. The town was platted, so the town of Chappell was platted in August 1884 in what was then Cheyenne County. And I know we've covered it many times, but in case this is your first episode you ever listened to, Cheyenne County covered pretty much all of western Nebraska, and it was eventually broken up into several counties after a ballot measure on November 6, 1884, which created Banner, Dual, Kimball, and Scottsbluff counties. Governor John Thayer at the time signed whatever paperwork he needed to sign and declared January 15th, 1889 as the creation of Dual County. And the town of Chappell is now the county seat of Dual County. So Dual was also named after another railroad man, Harry Porter Dual of Omaha. That's a lot of consonants to get through. Did everybody get that? So that's a lot of information to throw out there, but basically, Cheyenne County was broken up into Banner, Dual, Kimball, Scottsbluff, and Cheyenne into 5 counties. I was pretty sure it was 5, and I wanted to count to make sure. So again, we're coming back to what you had asked earlier. It's because of the railroad that all this stuff happens.
Yeah.
So, so Charles Henry Chappell was the man responsible for building the town's train depot. So Charles, for whatever reason, decided that spot needed a depot. And as the legend goes, whenever lumber and other supplies were sent from Omaha to the area where the town of Chappell is now located, the instructions were simple. Send this to Chappell.
Send this to Chappell.
So they're literally sending it to the man, and it just became the town's name.
It makes sense.
Yeah, it is what it is. My hometown of Middletown was named Middletown because it was the midway point on the passenger railroad, and I forget midway between Albany, I think, and another town somewhere farther down in New York, and I can never remember what it is. But I mean, it's the middle town. So yeah. That's,
It's the towns that say Last Chance. The towns named Last Chance are the ones you really have to pay attention to.
Yeah.
So it usually means that's the last chance you're going to get fuel and water or anything for several hundreds of miles.
Yes.
So look out for the towns that say Last Chance.
Yeah. So getting back to Charles, his wife Oriana Ward Chappell never lived in town after the railroad work was completed, but she apparently had some kind of affection for the town. She lived in Chicago, but would often take the train back to Chappell to visit. So Charles dies, and she apparently is like, I got no reason to stay here. I'm going to move back to Chicago. But she still liked Chappell. So this is going to play into the library here. So Charles died on June 21st, 1904, but Oriana was instrumental in building the library and the art gallery, which you see standing today. According to a Star Herald article by Steve Frederick, he found a brochure detailing what Oriana had done, and I'm going to read from that for a minute or two here. Oriana Chappell traveled extensively after his death, collecting the works of various masters from around the world, including oils, etchings, engravings, and prints. An early member of the Chicago Women's Club, she was a life member of the Chicago Art Institute and the Chicago Historical Society. So there's obviously something in her that she has some kind of fondness for Chappell, and she wants to bring her appreciation for art and history to Chappell. She provided the funding to build the library and gallery as a memorial to her late husband and donated her extensive and expensive collection. She supervised its unpacking but couldn't be on hand when the building opened to a lot of fanfare in 1936. Among the 200 or so artworks hanging in the public library for the past 8 decades are etchings by Rembrandt, Whistler, and Jean-François Millet, and she died in 1942. In her Chicago mansion, the artworks were displayed throughout various rooms. According to the brochure, the large oils were seen in the living room, the etchings in the library, the Japanese and Chinese prints were found in the dining room, while the engravings were hung in the spacious halls and the watercolors in guest rooms and in her private rooms. In Chappell, they hang almost frame to frame, filling the gallery space just off the main book collection. Each piece is numbered, and a catalog available to visitors includes a description of each one. I did not have time to go down to Chappell and get the entire collection, and that would be episode after episode after episode of what's in there, but you have a good idea of what's in there right now. The art gallery also has a substantial collection of works by Aaron Gunn Pyle, who was a homegrown talent. Aaron was born in Kansas, but he spent most of his life living in Chappell, where he tended his family's 128 acres of farmland. Though it was rumored he was reclusive and eccentric, He painted the residents, animals, and landscapes of Nebraska in the mid-20th century. So just that makes his art valuable. And I have seen a couple of his paintings, and you can call me heathen all you want. I'm not a big fan of paintings. I like photorealistic paintings. So when you look at it, you're like, is that a painting or is it a photograph? But I do appreciate its importance and the styles, and some of them are very cool. It's just art just isn't my thing. And
I won't call you a heathen.
Okay, you can call me a heathen. My friend Bass and my husband call me a heathen. We went to, for example, the Van Gogh Museum in Amsterdam. I brought a book with me, and I read quite a bit of the book because it's pretty open. Like you start on the left and you go down a wall, across a big long wall, and then turn, and there's another shorter wall, and that's it. Yeah, I was done in like 15 minutes. We were there almost 4 hours.
It sounded like the Georgia O'Keeffe one in Santa Fe that I went to. Because I am a big fan of Georgia O'Keeffe, and they'd had some of her original works that aren't shown in any other museums. So I'm like, oh, cool, I'm going to see all this stuff. Because I saw they did an installation of her in Denver, I saw, and in the Phoenix Art Museum that I saw. Loved them both. Got to the one in Santa Fe, and it was just like this tiny little room, about the size of this living room. And I think it had like 15, 20 of her artworks, and then that was it. And I was so disappointed. They were really good. They were definitely Georgia O'Keeffe, because definitely her work. They had some of her photos and some of her pictures, and I should say paintings, and that was it.
Yeah.
I was like, oh my God.
I looked through them. I read what was there. Okay, I'm done. I'm not a big painting person, but Paul really, really loves artwork.
And I do too. I'm a huge art lover, and I love artwork of all kinds. It's not just paintings. I love all kinds of works. One of my favorites, Alexander Calder, who's made the Mobile, does all the kind of metal art sculptures that float in midair.
Oh, okay. But yeah, we were there almost 4 hours, and I would read for a half hour. Oh, he's still at the same picture, but that's what he likes. And we went to things that I like that he doesn't like too much. It's a nice little sacrifice. And in his hometown in Preston, I can't remember the name of the painting now, but there's a painting of a lady. I think she's in a green dress, and it's an extremely important painting, and it's by someone who was from Preston, and it's in the Preston Museum, and I've seen it, and I get its historical significance, but I'm like, it's just a lady there in a green dress. But we went to other parts of that museum. So Preston, Lancashire, England, was a huge mill town. And all the mills and all the mines are closed now, pretty much all of them. The mines are all closed. I think almost all of the mills are closed. But it's manufacturing history, and they've got like the old machines in there. And I'm like, oh, that's cool.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
I loved looking at that stuff. Paul's looking at the artwork. I'm looking at that stuff. So,
And getting back to this, that's kind of why it's nice to have a double function of an art museum and a library, because that seems like that'd be your thing. It's like, oh, I could stick my husband in here. He can look all day, and I'm going to enjoy my book.
Yep, and I can read a book. So getting back here to Aaron Gunpile for a second, he had spent some time away from Chappell in the late 20s when he attended the University of Washington for 2 years and took classes at the Cornish Art School in Seattle for a brief amount of time. And I'm not sure what they meant by brief. Did he just go a couple months and was like, I don't need this, or was it a year? I'm not entirely sure. And maybe we should do an entire episode on Aaron, because I've seen several of his works out here, so it probably would make sense. So later he studied at the Denver Art Institute and attended the Kansas City Art Institute from 1938 to 1941 under the guidance of American regionalist Thomas Hart Benton. And it seemed to me, with him going to all these different art schools, he's trying to find where he fits. He knows what his style is, and he's not finding his fit until he got to Kansas City. I don't know, though. We need to do a story on him, and maybe we can find out. So the brochure Steve Frederick referenced in his article noted Pyle actually was a working farmer who painted only when the chores were done, and his subjects closely related to his life on the farm. In other words, he followed and believed what his mentor stated were the virtues of rural life and their relation to true artistic expression. Benton, who was his mentor, Benton held his pupil in high esteem and accompanied him on painting expeditions to Nebraska. Although the exigencies of running a farm took most of his time, he had become successful enough with his paintings to be rated as a leading Nebraska artist, Benton wrote. He was a true regionalist, perhaps closer to being a real one than any of the rest of us, for he lived continually with his subjects. Aaron, some 20 years younger than I, was big and strong, handy with tools, used to outdoor life, and above all, quiet like the land he came from. Sorry, I had trouble reading that. Not exactly sure why. It's been reported that Aaron Pyle also painted a mural in a Sydney bar in exchange for a couple of bottles of bourbon. That's a very famous story down in Sydney. And it's so famous that I've heard it up here.
And not unheard of. Jackson Pollock, one of the first things he did was he did his artwork on bits of wallpaper for bars. Mm-hmm. So there's some bars that actually have Jackson Pollock's artwork on there. So not unheard of. And I'm sure he did it for drinks or for whatever he could get.
Yep. Today, more than 50 years after his death, his paintings of Nebraska life and landscape still sell for thousands of dollars due to the distinctiveness of his work. Most Nebraskans were exposed to Aaron Pyle's work through the many illustrations depicting Nebraska life that he created for the Omaha World Herald. He also exhibited his work at the Associated American Artists in New York, at the Joslin Art Museum, which is in Omaha, the
awesome museum.
Yeah. the Denver Art Museum, and the Old World Gallery in Kansas City. All good museums. First time I was in Joslin was a Dale Chuley exhibit.
Yeah.
I just thought it was really cool you could do that kind of stuff with glass.
Yeah,
and then
I think Chihuly's, hopefully it's still there, the main one.
I think so, yeah. I think
thought they had a permanent installation.
It's that big, long hallway. Open area.
And it kind of just goes up all the way. It goes up like some 10, 15 feet, and it's all these different colors of blues and reds.
Yeah.
And looks like a bunch of balloons, kind of.
Yeah. That's still permanently there. Unless they've moved it. I haven't been to Omaha in a while, but I believe it's still there.
Definitely go to Jocelyn's if you get the chance.
So the rest of the Aaron Pyle's collection in the art gallery includes prints and paintings by American, Asian, and European artists. Sorry, not the rest of Pyle's collection. The rest of the museum, the art gallery's collection. I'm getting everything all screwed up now. So let me start over here. The rest of the collection at the library and art gallery includes paintings by American, Asian, and European artists. Some of Pyle's works are on loan from collectors as well as local families. And according to the westnebraska.com website, the Rembrandts in the collection are reproductions, but they were so good that they were long thought to be Rembrandt originals.
That's too bad. Because I actually was like, Rembrandts, that would be cool to see.
Yeah.
Reproduction. So are they still up there?
They're still hanging.
Just with a disclaimer.
Probably. Yeah. That would be cool, though. That would be worth it to go and say, hey, we got Rembrandts here in Nebraska, in the middle of nowhere, because that's where Chappell is.
Really.
Yeah. Another neat thing inside the building is the Bergstrom Rock and Gem collection. And if you go to the library's Facebook page, I was looking at the little dinosaur things that the kids made, and I could see the rock and gem collection behind it. And I'm like, that kid's blocking that rock. I want to see that rock. So I think this collection is super cool. It has mastodon bones and teeth on display. also has an extensive display of rocks, gems, and other fossils found in the Chappell area, including a variety of agates. And that's what I was looking at. That kid was in the way of this really cool-looking agate. I'm like, dude. So they're rocks and gems and the fossils are all from the Chappell area. So it's not like, oh, we got this, fossil of a mastodon, and it's from France. No, it's from here. A lot of people forget that, yes, this area, mastodons, tons and tons of fossils.
Yeah.
So if you're looking for old newspapers of the town, they got that too. Their digital collection of the weekly paper, the Chappell Register, has been published since 1887. And I just give a shout out to that because, it's not a big paper because there's less than 1,000 people that live in the town, but they've had a weekly paper since 1887. I mean, holy smokes. Yeah.
That's fun.
Yeah.
This really is one of those towns you go into and it's almost a little Twilighty. It's like do 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 because it's like kind of the stuff that they do, and almost nothing changes. And it's like,
yeah,
creepy. It's cool though.
Yeah. So if you want to check out this little hidden gem of history, it's located at 289 Babcock Avenue. Of course, Chappell is not that big. If you can't find it, ask somebody. Somebody will point it out to you.
From the way you described it, it should be a pretty obvious looking building.
Yeah. There's look for the rectangle-shaped brick building with the three arches. They do have limited hours, and I didn't want to put them down there because, like every other library around, they have summer and winter hours, and they change. Yeah. So, just give them a ring. Their number is 308-874-2626, and they'll tell you the current hours. And they also have, so you can arrange for a visit at other times, and it's just not clear, is that because you want to host an event there, or, hey, I'm passing through, and I'm from Sweden, and I want to see the artworks, and you guys are closed, but can I come see them?
And that's good to do because Jason and I did that. We were passing through the Colorado Rockies, and we saw a museum we really liked, and it just said call for hours. And we did, and the lady just happened to be walking in, and we got to go see it. So, yeah, definitely take the time. Otherwise, if you just read the close signs, you might miss some stuff.
Yep. And especially, I find small towns, no matter where you go in America, if they're closed and there's a number, you can call and be like, hey, can I go? Like Dobby's is closed technically in the winter, but you can call the number and just be like, hey, I'm going to be here on X date. Can I go in and look at stuff? And they have volunteers, and they'll arrange for somebody to come and have you look at stuff. They're more than happy to do that kind of stuff, and I would imagine these guys are as well. The library has the Chappell Museum Association as well, and it's dedicated to preserving and showcasing the history of the town and the surrounding area and the paintings. There's a lot of other cool things there. One of them is a home of a prominent businessman from the early 1900s, and I have notes on that. I didn't even know it existed till I started working on this story on the library, so I was like, oh, I got to do that one too. And it's a very cool house. You get to see the whole history of Chappell. And yeah, it's a little town. It's because the railroad was here, because Mr. Chappell decided, I want a railroad depot here, that the town even came to be. Just call them. I was going to start trying to give some details about when things are open. Just call them, because they might be open when you're coming, and if they're not, heck, even me from Scotts Bluff, if I was like, hey, I was in Omaha and I'm not coming on back home and I'm going to pass by Chappell on the way back to Scotts Bluff, but I'm not going to get there till 6 o'clock and you guys are closed then. can somebody open it up and so I can look at these 3 paintings, or whatever.
Yeah.
It doesn't hurt to call. No. And I have found, where I grew up in New York, you would never do that kind of thing. And it's why I've never been to Washington's headquarters in New York State, because most of the year it's open by appointment only. And maybe one day I'll get to see it, but that's literally all you need to do is call and say, hey, I'd like to come down Wednesday at 2, and someone will open it up for you.
Yeah, because around here, museum jobs are most of these people's 3rd or 4th job.
Yeah,
And they just keep the lights on and keep things running, but for the most part, you just got to do, like the Harrison Museum's a lot like that. They have someone watching out for it, but you might be out in the back mowing or out in the field doing something with the cows. You don't know.
Yeah. You just never know.
Be respectful and do it. The museum in Harrison's kind of nicely set up, so you really can't fiddle with much unless you go out of your way to.
Yeah.
So if you're just respectful, you'll get it. But if you want a tour, you just call.
Yep.
And the locals, I forgot her name, but she's wonderful, and she'll give you a tour.
Yep. I've toured it once, and it was open special for a bus tour, which I would absolutely love if Sioux County went back to doing their bus tours. They would do a portion of Sioux County, and I went on one, and it was kind of funny because some of the information that they handed out, this is the next place we're going to, and the next place we were going to was the Belmont Tunnel, and it's a Star Herald article by Irene North. And I just started laughing. I'm like, okay. And they gave me a whole bunch more info that I didn't know, but they were like, here's an article that was written about this, and y'all can read it. So it was kind of amusing because a couple of the stops I had already been to, but I had never been in the museum. I'm in a museum because there's a picture. I forget what the Scavdals did. It was something at Agate with Christmas and something they had made, and I had taken their picture and done a little short blurb, and that's in the museum there. So I'm like, I'm in a museum. That's my name on that photo.
I'd say that too loudly. It's like, you're old.
I'm old.
You're in a museum next to the fossils.
So I am a fossil. So one last thing I want to say about the Chappell Library and Art Gallery is that admission is free to go to the library because it's a library and you get to see these very cool works. But if you want to leave a donation, you can leave a donation, and that
is pretty cool.
Yeah.
That you get to go to an art museum that has all these wonderful pieces for free.
Yeah.
You do not get to do that in a lot of places, guys.
No.
At all. So go see this place.
And that's about, I mean, like I said, it was going to be a little shorter episode this week just because there isn't a lot of information on it. And
so
I'd really
have to go out and find out yourself.
Yeah. And, I also want people to go and see the artwork themselves.
Read a book or something.
Yeah. Please read more. Read more. We all need to read more. And you know what? I don't fault anybody. I know people that get on young kids' cases because they're reading graphic novels. And I'm like, graphic novels are really cool. I'm going to be 56 in a month. Mm-hmm. And I read graphic novels.
Have to read.
Yeah, you're still reading. You're still interpreting what's going on. Yeah. Instead of them describing maybe what the character is wearing or doing, it's there in picture form, but there's still words. There's still information. Mm-hmm. I have a graphic novel about Artemisia Gentileschi. Here I am talking about how I'm not big into art. I love Artemisia. And I think it's because I know her history, I know her backstory, and you can look at her artwork and see how she's processing her trauma through her artwork, which is...
But the right kind of art for you.
Yeah.
You like art if it's the right kind of art.
And I don't want to get into too many details, but the short version is her dad hired a dude to help teach her to paint, and that dude raped her. Okay. And we only know all of this because the court records still exist, and of course her dad had to take the guy to court because she was his property, because back 500 years ago, that's just what it was. But the lady who drew the graphic novel, I'm just going to leave it at, has a similar story to Artemisia. And she has a mix of what you think of as a graphic novel, just the pictures, but she also has text interspersed there. So you might get 4 or 5 pages of text and then more pictures. And I really thought that was really well done. I would recommend that to older kids because there are some graphic images in that book. But in general, graphic novels are great, and it's a stepping stone to reading other novels. So just don't ever trash anybody for what they're reading, even if they have a comic book. You know, I read Archie comic books when I was younger, mainly because we couldn't really afford comics, and my sister liked to read Archie comic books, and so I would read her comic books because I wanted to read.
I like Calvin and Hobbes.
Yeah, Calvin and Hobbes is awesome. So just don't ever make fun of somebody for reading. They're reading, they're learning, they're educating themselves. They might be reading comic books today, graphic novels tomorrow, and, you know, Dostoevsky the day after that, you know.
One would hope.
Yeah. I have not read Dostoevsky.
I haven't gotten to Dostoevsky yet.
I went to the extreme there, but you know, the Chappell Library and Art Gallery is a fantastic building. Go look at the artwork, read some of their books, check out their books if you live in Chappell. Just go and enjoy this little hidden gem in the middle of nowhere, western Nebraska. And come back next week, and I'll have something else for you that I have not started writing yet. I have all the notes. Yeah. Well, I had planned on having it written and done, but man, all that information I got from Legacy, it's a lot, and it's exactly what I want, but it's just been so much that I kind of got a little sidetracked. Yeah. But that's all right. We'll be back next week. And if you want to listen to any of our older episodes, you can go to storytellingontheplains.com. Right now, if you go right now, I stopped at, I believe, episode 95. And then I made a post that said, hey, we're letting the website go. We're not letting the website go. That will be fixed at some point, and we'll get all of the episodes back up there. So episodes 1 through 95 are up there now. And if I can get some time in the next week, I may put those ones up before this episode goes out next Wednesday. And if not, don't fear. They're still there. If you scroll down to the bottom of the page and click on where you can listen to the podcasts and subscribe, they're all out there. It's just I've been manually doing it on Storytelling on the Plains. So just give me a break on that one for a little while. That's it for now. I'm Irene.
And I'm Connor.
And this is Storytelling on the Plains.